Farm. A very good morning to Joy and Joe from Citizens Advice. It's been National Debt Awareness Week, all of this week led by Step Change. And a very good morning. And I'm going to pose the first question to Joy this morning. What actually is National Debt Awareness Week?
Well, that's a campaign really designed by Step Change to raise awareness, and they change the kind of theme of the Awareness Week every year. And this year, the theme is around just breaking down the stigma around debt, around how we can intervene, how early intervention work helps resolve debt issues, and just allowing people the space to feel like they can come and talk about it without any judgment or sort of bad feeling about how they've managed to get themselves there in the first place. People have different
there's different perceptions, isn't there? You mentioned that it's great that they theme it, and that this year's theme is around about that shame, because all of a sudden, particularly for those that find themselves due to a change of circumstances, like, I can't manage this anymore. Yeah. So there's that shame and stigma of I should be able to do this, but that's not always the case, is it?
And it's only one, we're all one bad decision away or one life event away from being in this sort of position. You suddenly find yourself with a long-term health condition, or you're not able to work as much as you could. You suddenly find that you have to move home, or you've had an eviction notice, or you suddenly are paying more housing costs than you were expecting. All these things you can't necessarily plan for. So people are quite easily end up in a kind of negative budget with even appropriate budgeting planning in advance. Sometimes you're just in a poor position.
Yeah. And Joe, you're the supervisor at Citizens Advice Pembrokeshire, looking over the debt cases. What are some of the themes that you've been seeing over the last kind of year or so?
I think the main themes at the moment are council tax is a big one. We've got a lot of energy debt. That's the main thing. And then, so we have a lot of rent arrears, mortgage arrears, and then you've got your non-priorities like your catalogues and credit cards and things like that. That's the main theme at the moment, I think.
Yeah, you just mentioned the non-priority. What's the difference between a non-priority and a priority debt then, Joe?
So the priorities are things that can lose your home, disconnection, or legal action. So that would be things like rental mortgage, council tax, gas and electric, court fines, things like that, things that can have serious consequences. Every debt is important, but things like credit cards are usually less urgent than the priorities. But we will, obviously, if we take on a debt client, we look at everything. We look at all your debts.
And I suppose that's one of the things that if you're going to go for advice, is that you are going to lift the lid on the household's income and expenditure, which can be quite revealing for some people. How do you go about going through a budget plan, an income and expenditure sheet?
So things are quite different these days, Tom. So we have, because of FCA regulations, we have a lot of requirements, and we have to verify income and expenditure. So I think it's really good to get the message out that if you come to a debt appointment with us, we are going to ask for lots of information. So we have ways of doing that now. We can send digital links, and we can get access to 3 months worth of bank statements. You can still bring in paper copies, that's absolutely fine, but we do verify your income and your expenditure using bank statements. So yes, it can be giving us a lot of information, but we are an independent charity, and we are not a government body, and they're completely confidential. So all of that information stays with us.
Stays on their file. It's destroyed in line with advice work, things going on there. And Joe alluding to things have changed nowadays. For those that might not know, I used to be a Citizens Advice worker with Joe back in the day. Things have changed though, Joy. One of the problems that we had going back all those years ago was people not opening letters, not wanting to spend that time going through their bank statements, making their own income expenditure. That's one way to make sure that the debts are legitimate and the expenditure is going on, but also it eases that pressure on the individual to do that as well.
Yeah. And for some people, we fully understand, if you're suffering with poor mental health, just the idea of opening a letter that you already know is bad news is crippling. So there are situations where we've had clients who will just bring in, a carrier bag full of unopened letters. They know what they are, but they just haven't been able to face going through them all. And that's okay. The fact that you're walking through the door and you're asking for help is enough. So, if you can bring us what you've got, great. Even if you don't have anything, just come, just, have that conversation, open the door, just make that first step is the message here, because for some people, it's just an unmanageable situation where it gets to a point where it's just spiraled out of control and it's hard to know then where to start.
Yeah.
So just start somewhere.
Start somewhere.
And it's important to actually, to know you first of all, you're sort of, okay, I need that help. And to be able to, I know that we've been talking backstage before we went on air, and you're very, very approachable, and we've got to get that message out. Actually, it's not, yes, it's frightening, but please come and speak.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. In the same way as, if you broke your arm, you wouldn't leave it until it fell off. Let's not get to a crisis point. Just, when you realize there's a problem, come and speak to us then. Let's kind of get in early and, give yourself a better shot at resolving it before it feels overwhelming.
Yeah.
You have more options the earlier you take action. That's really important to get out there. In terms of debt solutions and debt options, the quicker that you come and get help from a debt advisor, the more options you're going to have.
And give us an indication as to some of those options then, Jo.
So some of the main options that we deal with, so we do debt relief orders a lot. So a few, I'm going to say months, it's probably years because time goes. They stop charging to do a debt relief order, so there's no fee anymore for a debt relief order. So the amount of them that we do now has increased quite a lot. We then do debt management plans, token offers, and we will look at the new breathing space that we can now put people into. We have the ability to do that, and they are the main ones. And then you've got bankruptcy, we can help with that as well, but if we can do a debt relief order, obviously it's free. Bankruptcy isn't free. So we tend to go down that route. So they are the main options that we deal with.
And just knowing what those options are, what they mean going forward, and just knowing that actually all these finances, all these letters have now got a place on that income expenditure sheet. One thing that I remember being an advisor was just that sense of relief afterwards. It's like, oh, I've finally done that first meeting. That's something that's really important to share here as well, isn't it, Jo?
Yeah, I think when you've been doing this job for quite a long time, you can sort of forget what it feels like for the client. So trying to put yourself in that place of what they are expecting to come in. So the first meeting they have with us will be about an hour long, and it's about information gathering at that point. And the more they can bring with them, the quicker we can come up with a solution. So that the sort of things that we would need are going to be bank statements, or we can give a link to get it digitally, all the creditor letters, details of income, and the list of the debts. And if we can get all of that in that first interview, we can really tell you what your options are at that point then. And that is obviously not for everybody. They don't all have. A lot of people throw their letters away. We then can get credit reports, which will tell us what the debts are. And it takes a bit longer. But the more information you bring into that first appointment, the better.
And those appointments are really important, Joy. If you've booked an appointment with Sittons Advice, you're not a massive team down there there and sharing the PAVS offices. So if people want to get involved and they want your advice, how can they go about doing that?
So they can contact us through our local advice line. That's open on a Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, 10 till 1. They can contact us via email, advice@pemscab.org. They can contact us. There's an AI tool actually on our website. So if there's questions that you think you might actually be able to resolve for yourself, you just want to ask some information, that's a really good resource for across the board. If it's housing, family, debt, anything, you can ask it anything. And as long as it's within our remit, it'll answer it for you. But for us, these appointments are gold dust. They're being booked out 2 weeks plus in advance. So if you make an appointment, please either let us know if you can't keep it, or just so that we can offer it out to somebody else. There's always somebody waiting on a list for an appointment. So if you can't keep it, please let us know, and we will reschedule it for you. If you can't make it, don't just not turn up and then disengage with us. Please come back, we will speak with you.
And Joe, debt is just one of the services that Citizens Advice look at. You've got that AI tool, it covers like lots that Citizens Advice have a look at. So what is the broad spectrum of advice, very briefly, as to what else Citizens Advice can help you with?
So we help with anything, but the main topics that we deal with are benefits. We fill in a lot of benefit forms. We do a lot of benefit checks. We can income maximisation, which is also part of the debt process. We housing, employment, family issues, consumer, energy. I could go on.
If you've got an issue, it's worth a phone call and going on that AI checker and seeing what's going on. Is there anything that we've missed here today to kind of help you wrap up this Debt Awareness Week for Citizens Advice Pembrokeshire?
I think at the moment, with the way things are going in the world, heating oil is a big topic at the moment. So if anybody locally, obviously there's a lot of rural areas in Pembrokeshire, anybody struggling, please come and speak to us. There are things that we can do and potentially help with. So I think that's a good message at the moment with the way the things are. Yeah,
of course, UK government announced that new fund as well. Yes. So you get the processes to how that follows and looking locally. And we had Lynn Morgan on, member of the Senate, talking about discretionary assistance funds and other bits and pieces as well, which all comes under that income maximisation that you can look at as well.
Yeah, it's I think my message really is, as the lead of the debt team, we have a lot of no-shows that is sort of hampering a lot of the work that we're doing. So if people are scared of coming to that appointment, is just give us a call and we'll talk you through what to expect.
And
just get in touch.
Yeah, I was just going to say, so if we're going to have an appointment with yourselves, where are we going to go?
That'll be either our Haverfordwest office, which is 38 High Street, in with the PABS offices just opposite HSBC Bank, or it'll be 38 Merrick Street in Pembroke Dock. So we have offices, we have interview rooms in both of those offices, and our advisors will see you there. Or we can do telephone appointments where it's appropriate.
Lovely. And what was that website address again?
So it's www.pemscab.org.
pemscab.org. Joy, it's been lovely reminiscing of when the offices were down in Cartlett Street, where I started many years ago. Thank you so much for all you do. You are independent. You are funded by lots of different things and lots of little pockets of money, but you're independent to any government organisation. The information that's given is safe, it's secure, it's with you, and you're your own charity. You don't come under like the Citizens Advice umbrella for all Citizens Advice, but you're your own charity.
Yeah, every local office is its own independent charity. So we do, we raise all our own funds by way of grants, and we go out for funding with various pockets. But these projects are kind of time limited, so they're normally 2 or 3 years, and then we look for more funding. So we're always really grateful of any help. If anybody ever wants to fundraise on our behalf, we're very, very grateful. If somebody wants to run a marathon or jump out of an airplane or whatever you want to do, please put our name on you.
And volunteers.
And volunteers, yeah. We have massive amount of time and respect for our lovely volunteers who really help us provide the service on a daily basis. And they're just an excellent team, and just a little community, a little family that we have in our offices.
It's nice to hear that some things never change. Yeah. It is wonderful to hear from you both on this week. Looking forward to hearing more from you as the summer progresses. It's coming up to 9:30. G. Unscramble's closing in about 3 minutes' time. It's Feel Good Friday with Beds today, which means we hand the playlist over to you. Woo! What song could we possibly be going for?
So I think on brand, let's go for Money, Money, Money by ABBA.
It's on the way next for us after your What's On. Joy and Joe, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, Tom.
Bye.
Wake up with Gina and Tom.